We are not wrong to call it MUTURI leaks. We will not be wrong when we call it MUTURI leaks. After watching the Muturi interview with NTV, he comes out to be of two characters. One is that he's selfish. Two, he does not, he thinks people do not think beyond. He thinks he's a sergeant major who does the thinking for recruits. He does not know that any communication, it is the viewer who interprets the message. Someone said that a human being is a communicating person. So even by just appearing before a camera and microphone, you are already, as you appear on before a camera and a microphone, and you don't even speak something, you already are communicating something. Someone can look at you and conclude you are happy, or somebody can look at you and conclude that you are disturbed. So a human being is a communicating animal. The only way you cannot communicate with other human beings is being off air. Being off air. And even when you're off air, you are communicating something. Because let's take somebody who is always on air throughout, daily, and he completes a week or so without being seen or heard. Obviously, you will conclude that he may be sick or something like that. He has already communicated that something is not right. Then somebody will try to investigate. The picture I get, because I'll go to point and point, but I'll say the picture I get is that Muturi comes across as somebody whom, when things don't affect him, he conveniently does not see things. He goes around quoting laws, quoting sections, and so on and so forth when things don't affect him. But when they affect him, like that one issue of his son, then that is when he now comes up forgetting the section. If it is somebody else's son, it doesn't affect him. He's the attorney general. He's not liable to advise the president on anything. The whole country is complaining youths are being abducted east, west, and north and south, and he's not noticing it because he's waiting for the president or any other government department to write to him for legal interpretation. But when his son was abducted, he did not wait for anybody to seek for his legal interpretation. This is a leader who wants to be seen as a very sincere person. I've always believed, now here is two sides of a coin. In intelligence, in NIS, we believe that the best time to gather intelligence is when two people have differed. Best friends know each other's secret, but best friends will never disclose each other's secrets. Once they differ, then they start disclosing each other's secrets. Now, for an NIS, it is upon you to pick the soil from the grain and leave the grain there. Because once two two camps or more disagree, the first casualty is usually the truth. Immediately they disagree, the first casualty is the truth. So someone goes so much to the right, another one goes so much to the left. You know that all of them have have very little truth telling, but with a lot of lies. So it is upon you to look for the pearl. It's up to you to look for the pearl in the story. That is how it is. So, and I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot, especially learning about William Samoei Ruto from uh, Muturi's disclosure. But then, this is my honest opinion, that Muturi is going the Rigathi Gachagua way. You see, he's going, kicking, whatever, shouting. I would, people say I am pro Ruto. If I were near Ruto, I would just say, uh, just be used to that pain in the leg. The shoes will get used to, the legs will get used to those shoes. And after some time, nobody will know that the shoe was pinching you. With the time, Muturi's magazine or Muturi's gun will be exhausted of his bullets. But during that time, people will disclose. And that is when we now come to know about Ruto. I've learned a lot from that interview about the character of Ruto, some things that I cannot doubt. So what the impression I'm getting here is that today, up to this time, if the condolence message had not been rejected at the funeral, if his son would not have been abducted, Muturi would be seeing no evil, hearing no evil. Now, I ask myself, I also ask you, and I'm sure you ask yourself, is this a genuine leader? Is this a genuine person? Now, let us start from the word go. He went to Lenny Kivuti's funeral. I mean, the Lenny Kivuti had a funeral ceremony. That was on 3rd January 2025. When he was there, somebody passed him the president's condolence. Now, to me, I see a lot of things that I am unable to. There are so many ideas in the head that I'm unable to explain myself very well. Now, was the speech rejected because he was given late? Was the speech rejection also the reason why he changed? Supposing he read the president's speech and it was well received, would he have caused this drama? This is a person whom, when things are going well, he wants to gain the credit. When things go wrong, he looks for an excuse. Somebody said he's a lawyer, and I now see that, because lawyers, depending on who paid for his services, lawyers usually can, in a blink of eye, change sides. He said the AG is an advisor to all governments. Then he gives us the impression that the AG just stays there until a government ministry or department sends a request for interpretation here and there. I would tell you, as an NIS, that is wrong. If that is how AG's chamber is supposed to be in the 2010 constitution, then that is wrong. You know, before the 2010 constitution, the AG was both the AG, and the Director of Public Prosecution. So according to him, the AG just stays there taking tea, waiting for any government department to ask questions. If all government departments don't ask questions, then he'll just continue having free whatever. Although, of course, any agreement or whatever that is done by any government department which has legal implications, the AG is involved. But I'm talking on that act where he's trying to say that the AG has no power to initiate something. You see, the AG, just like NIS stays there. When NIS sees a certain government department needs certain advice, it does not wait for that government department to ask it. The NIS will come and inform you that this and this, and then they'll tell you at your own time and at your own what do we call, at your own initiative and whatever, you do this and this. NIS does not wait for you to ask it for whatever. NIS is always monitoring things, and when they see you're doing something, and especially if they are sure that you're doing it from a non-informed angle. Yes, even if they know you're doing it in an uninformed angle and you're circumventing the legal challenges, they will inform you. But in this case, I'm saying NIS is always in the open, with open eyes, such that when they see a government department doing something, either knowingly or unknowingly, they will take the initiative to have a closed door discussion with you. After they have a closed door discussion with you, they will advise you on what steps to do and whatever. I would also have, okay, I'm an NIS fellow, I'm not a lawyer, but I would also expect the Attorney General's chamber to be monitoring things like that. You see, NIS is monitoring from a security aspect. And I would also expect the AG to monitor just the way the NIS is doing from a legal aspect. I would expect them to tell somebody, Bwana CS or Madam PS, whatever you are doing has legal implications here and there. Just the way NIS would tell you, whatever you are doing has security implications, this and that and that. But he gives us the impression that they do not give advice to any department unless and until that government department or ministry asks for that. I think that is wrong. Then he says, when that happened to my son, I was not just a member of the cabinet, but a member of the National Security Committee. It had to begin somewhere. That is what he said. So he was saying something, and that is what he said. Let me repeat it again. When that happened to my son, I was not just a member of the cabinet, but a member of the National Security Committee. It had to begin somewhere. So to him, the somewhere where it had to begin was his son. To hell with the sons of peasants. To hell with orphans and whatever. It had, if his son would not have been whatever, then he would not have done it. And he goes ahead and says without blinking that after it had happened to me, a cabinet member, a member of the National Security Committee, that is when I acted. And he puts there that line, I'll have just to say that. He said it had to begin somewhere. It is quite possible that if his son would not have been abducted, up to this time, he would not have noticed anything. It is also possible that when he was trying to read the president's condolence at Kivuti's place, if the speech were well received, he would not have done that. Then comes the story that he had connections in the NIS. First of all, I'll tell you, that was a very unfortunate circumstance. I can tell you, if by now somebody must have lost a job in the NIS. If he's somebody of a certain rank, you'll find that he'll be taken to another ministry and such a thing. You remember Rigathi Gachagua was complaining about some directors in the NIS who were transferred to other ministries. There is no chance in hell that those directors will ever go back to work for NIS. Even if, unless of course, Rigathi Gachagua becomes the president. Because within the NIS, Rigathi Gachagua himself said that the 4 directors he insisted that they go back to him. So the NIS will say that these are the people who are answerable to Rigathi Gachagua. So, on the same strength, uh, Muturi is saying that he has a close person within the NIS who kept telling him that we have your son. I can tell you, as much as I've not stayed there for long, but they know. You know, we had something that was called turning operation. We had something that was called turning operation. And this is how turning operation happens. You sit down together, you discuss things, and then you discover somebody somewhere is receiving the information. You do your own evaluation, and then come up and say, JI-TENGE is the one who's passing the information to that person. What do? Every time you are seated there, you don't discuss serious things. You discuss, you discuss serious things, but you discuss certain aspects when JI-TENGE is there. When JI-TENGE goes to report to that person, you now sit down and do a proper sitting. That is what we call turning operation. You have identified that this is a person who discloses our secrets to a hostile organization. So whenever he's there, you cook up a story which you want the hostile organization to get. Then you talk so that this person hears it and tells the hostile. When he's not there, then you say whatever you want to say. So it did not need Muturi to say that he has somebody there. They already knew. They already knew that Muturi, because I can tell you, when President Ruto rang Nurdin Haji and said release Muturi's son, within 48 hours of the president calling, they knew who is this person who usually feeds Muturi. Mengine siwezi sema. Not that I'm hiding anything, but the only thing I'm saying is that, and I want to ask politicians not to be useless and stupid the way Muturi has done, because Muturi has just spoiled a career of somebody in the NIS. I would also want to appeal to people who have friends in NIS who tip them. For the sake of those people who are in the NIS, kindly don't say or do anything that will lead into an internal investigation. Please. Because if they go into internal investigation, definitely they'll know who that person is. And where is Muturi now? He used to be a member of the National Security Committee. He's no longer there. He's not even in the cabinet as cabinet secretary for whatever. And what about his informer? Because if Muturi disagrees with Ruto, then his informer should continue with his professional projection. Of course, NIS do not disclose their things, but I'm sure there is an NIS agent somewhere regretting. Muturi says that many said stay put. Maybe you'll get a lot more. At the appropriate time, let the world know. Muturi had two things. He wanted his cake and he wanted to eat it. You cannot do the two things. I'm saying so because Muturi, if you have to stay put, then you will learn a lot but say little, and you'll continue doing that. But if you start talking, your time is coming and you will go. He talks of when the president, I mean, what Ruto did, uh, I don't like, personally, I'm very reluctant to say, to show any similarities between Ruto and Moi. But you can see from the interview, it shows that Muturi was trying to show that a lot of people who are trying to show that Ruto has a lot of things in common with Moi. They are doing it from a bad angle. Yes, it is true. Ruto has a lot of things to do with similar to Moi. After all, that is his political father. But the way people are putting it, we are going to put it in such a way that in the future, no Kalenjin will be allowed to be the president. There is no tribe in Kenya where people think the same. Ruto is a Kalenjin. Moi was a Kalenjin. Ruto is saved from his youth. Moi was saved from his youth. Ruto, there are so many things that Ruto has in common with Moi. But I'll also show some of the few things, like what Muturi said. Moi had this habit of you talk with him nicely, but when you go to watch the evening news, you'll be shocked. So you find that I'll talk about Professor Mbidi. In that there is a list that Professor Mbidi prepared with Moi, and they did everything. And so Professor Mbidi went to his house ready to watch to see how the TV had covered the story, only to find that the last sentence, when he left, Moi added a last sentence concerning him, where he had been transferred from being head of the public service to be an ambassador in Arusha. That thing uh, is Nani also had it. Nani has it. Ruto. I'll give you an example. They were talking with his AG Muturi, talking so well. So Muturi goes home and finds that the cabinet has been disbanded, including Muturi. They are talking during daytime, up to the evening. So Muturi goes home and he sees on TV that thing is similar between Moi and Ruto. I think Ruto should change so that people, because in the future there'll be a Kalenjin who would want to be the president. We have had 5 presidents, and if that character is associated with, out of the 5 presidents, 2 have been Kalenjins, and when the 2 of them have a certain characteristic trait, then it is very easy that in the future a person who is competent from the Kalenjin tribe may not be given that position because they say Kalenjins do that. The other thing that Ruto and Muturi had differed with had to do with the Muslim Endowment Fund. Muslim Endowment Fund. Ruto, while talking in a mosque, or can I say in a Islamic church, said that he wanted to have a Muslim endowment fund, and Muturi refused. I wanted to say that because Unfortunately, Ruto has this problem, and hey, Guy Fafa, I don't know how anybody can change him. You see, I want to give this Muslim Endowment Fund as an example of really how Ruto is. And you see, since Kenya independence, I was in the special branch. I was in the special branch, especially when I was in Mandera, where I was the acting deputy county intelligence officer. Moi would come to Mandera and things would be promised, and Moi would go, presumably even forgetting what he had promised. Presumably he had forgotten. But there is a department in the office of the president that is called Presidential Delivery Unit, PDU, Presidential Delivery Unit. If the president came and said, I'll do this and this and that, in the even the president forgets. Now it is upon the Presidential Delivery Unit to now carry out what the president has said. If the president comes to your place and says that he's going to drill water there and then goes, it is upon the and then goes and forgets. It is upon the Presidential Delivery Unit to sit down and do all those things. Then tell the president, can you go back to that place where you promised them water? Because that thing is ready. We want you to go and officially open it. He would even tell the presidential, did I really promise? Yes, you promised and we have fulfilled. That is the mandate of PDU, Presidential Delivery Unit. You sit there with your tape. Anything the president promises, it is now up to you to make sure, what do you call, hook or crook, to make sure that that thing has happened. Now back to the story of Muslim Endowment Fund. I would want to say that from where I am, the most likely scenario, you cannot talk of what happened there when you are not there. The most likely scenario here is the President Ruto saw Muslims and he wanted to say something that would please the Muslims. President Ruto wants to talk things that pleases those people who are there. But then we have a Luhya proverb which says, he who did it forgets, and he who stepped on it does not forget. We are forests. We are forests, such a thing. So when you are walking around the forest and you have a running stomach, just at the footpath, you bend low and perform short call and you go. Somebody else will come. You know those days people used to walk barefooted. He steps on your human waist. So Luya say that he who did it forgets it, but he who stepped on it will never forget it. So the president, when he sees people around, he looks around and says, tutatenga hii, tutafanya hivi, tutafanya hivi. When he leaves that place, he has forgotten that. But the people he has left there, they didn't even know about that. They are used to staying in a place where there is no water. They are used to going 30 kilometers to get water. Now they're being told they'll go for 30 meters to get water. He has just gone. And I talked about PDU, Presidential Delivery Unit. It is sleeping. Now, when he saw Muslims, he knew that the Muslims need endowment fund. He had two targets. One target was to make the Muslims happy. And that is why I've always been against him, these public meetings and whatever. It's because it is an opportunity to promise things. Well, it is okay if you promise what you deliver and deliver what you promise. But to him, he takes it like, what do you call? Gumzo mtaani. Yeah, to him it is gumzo mtaani. but the people who listen to it, it is not gooms. So when he talked of Muslim endowment fund, to me, to me, I take it that it is something that even when he was entering that mosque, he did not even have that idea. So he wanted to sweet talk to Muslims on one side, and on the other side, he was on a mudslinging uh, exercise, and the target this time was Muturi. I laughed when Muturi said that William gave him another cup of tea and said at the only good thing Ruto has. And you see, he kept on calling him William. He he rarely called him president. Don't me? I read something between that. So I laughed at that when he said the good thing that is only good at giving people more cups of tea. Uh, he also talks about President Ruto persisting. He kept on saying that having been the speaker, you know, speaker makes a lot of decisions. So he used to do a lot of legal research. And he said that he would have preferred to be given a ministry because being made at the AG, he would always be doing legal research. But I doubt. To me, I was not there, but to me, I just have a feeling that Muturi did not even want, I mean, Muturi would even have become the speaker for the third time, would have become the speaker. But he felt that of all the three government arms, he wanted to finish off by being the AG. I tend to believe that it is him who insisted on being the AG. And he also wanted to be the AG because as he said, that under Section 2, under Section 12 of the AG's Act, the president cannot sack the AG unless he sets up a tribunal. So I tend to believe that it is him who chose to be the AG. But then let us follow what he's saying because he's the one who was there. He says that the president kept on persisting that he be made the AG. I think the president persisting must have made him feel he must have made him feel to be important. I also laughed when he said, "No wonder we." I mean, he talked of a lot of things, and then he said, "No wonder William Samoei Ruto knows procurement." Well, all things possible, all things what do you call equal, all all sets and whatever. In as things stand right now, I would know when someone says that Ruto doesn't see any opportunity without seeing a business deal there. The person cannot be 100% wrong. There must be some uh, truth in it. He also says that William Samoei Ruto doesn't consider institutions or individuals. There he was right because when Kibaki was being buried, Ruto was very bold and said that Kibaki is the best president Kenya has ever had. But Ruto's presidency has proven to be the opposite of Kibaki's government. Kibaki was like Jomo Kenyatta. He gives you a ministry and you run that ministry the way you want. But then Ruto, I've already said that before, especially when Ruto had what do you call town hall meeting at is it KICC or City Hall, where he called kids, young adults, and they would ask any question from any ministry. Yeah, I tend to believe that. I tend to believe that Ruto is a super CS, super CS. It is quite possible, especially sensitive ministries, to find that actually Ruto is the CS And if you are the CS, at the best, you are just an assistant minister. There was a lot of disclosure about the meeting that Machogu had, and of which Duale must have picked it and taken it to the president. I would, if it is true, I would like to say that that is not the kind of presidency we want. That is not the kind of presidency we want. Uh, if you look at Kibaki and Jomo Kenyatta, they really discouraged the people whom Nani was trying to paint Duale to be. People who hang around State House, people who do a lot of gossiping, people who take a lot of things to the president. There's a time Jenga Karume went and talked something to Jomo Kenyatta about Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. He talked, Kenyatta listened to the thing very well, and Kenyatta told him, can you come on such and such a day, at such and such a time, so that you elaborate more. You elaborate more on what, on, to elaborate more on what you meant. So that day when it arrived, the person who, sorry, let me put it the other way. I'm trying to remember what happened. Is it so many years ago, 50 years ago? Jenga Karume told Kenyatta something about Moi. Kenyatta told him, can you, I think it was in Nakuru State House, can you come on such and such a day and tell me well, when I don't have other ideas on the head? So Jenga Karume went back to that State House to talk to Kenyatta about Moi. When the secretary told him to enter, because Kenyatta was expecting, he found Kenyatta with Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. Then Kenyatta told him, can you tell me what you told me 3 days ago, a few days ago? I am now ready to. And you see, the whole story was about how uh, how Moi was bad on it. So he was being told to repeat it when Moi was there. I hope you get the picture. As for Kibaki, you go to Kibaki, and when you go to Kibaki, you talk things that are not economics. You talk to Kibaki things about, you talk to Kibaki things that are not economical. That is a money minting project. You talk to Kibaki about something that is not development. You talk to Kibaki fitina, songi. I can tell you, if somebody came back after 5 minutes and asked Kibaki, what was JI-TENGE telling you? He'll tell you, I even don't know. Alikuwa tu hapa na akasema. Those are the types of presidents we want. We don't want a president who uses some cabinet ministers against the other. I am very proud. I've suffered a lot, but I'm very proud that I was sacked for saying that such a president like Kibaki is what Kenya needs. I've suffered, I'm still suffering, but suffering without bitterness, and proud of my prediction that we had such a president. Last, before my cameraman switches off the camera, I want to ask you a question. Supposing Kibaki did not have an accident along Mombasa Road, supposing Kibaki had ruled, let's say even 15 years, where would Kenya be now? I want future leaders, I'm old, future leaders to benchmark with Kibaki. Kibaki, even though he had an accident, even though he had the political storms, MOUs and whatever, if those things would not have happened, if Kibaki would have just been given time to rule just for 15 years, where would Kenya be? That is a question for you.